Hey guys! So today we are going to talk about time management or productivity, whichever you prefer. So let's get into it. Now, this is not necessarily solely about programming. I'll throw some programming concepts into this just because, hey, this is actually, I usually talk about programming. But I did get a user question, or sorry, a subscriber question today about time management. A subscriber reached out and basically asked, Fredrik, how do you manage your time? Do you have some tools, tips or tricks or something like that? How can you be so productive? I don't really know if I'm all that productive, but maybe I am. So I thought, hey, I'll share my process. Now, I am for the most part fairly busy. Almost every day I have a lot of things going on and I do a lot of different things. And the way that I have structured things, or the way that I manage to basically do all the things that I do, it actually boils down to three very simple concepts. The subscriber asked if I have any tools, and the only tool I have is a calendar. That's really and I only use the calendar for the sort of things that I have a bad memory, I will admit, and I need to just schedule things that I don't usually do in an average week. But apart from that, everything boils down to three basic concepts. And I'll try to break them down in something that makes sense to somebody else apart from me. So the first thing and the most important thing that I do is that I measure everything that I do in terms of energy. What do I mean by that? Well, let me ask you this question instead. Are you a morning or a night person? How could that possibly be relevant to time management? Well, it's actually very simple. So the way that I think about energy, or rather I think about every single thing I do in my life, is it can add energy to me as an individual, or it can take away energy. Those are the two possible outcomes of absolutely everything. And that means that when I understand that, or rather when I start thinking about everything in terms of adding energy or removing energy, everything becomes very simple for me. Because that means that I can determine or rather at least that's how it affects me. I start to think in terms of, okay, what are things that I find enjoyable, daily tasks, things that actually give me energy. I'll give you an example. I don't actually listen to specific bands or anything like that. For the most part, my entire playlist of music, I don't even know who made the song because I don't really care. I care about whether or not the song gives me energy, or if it caters to my emotional state at a given point in the day. And the same thing goes for my tasks. I go to the gym every morning and every lunch because I know that it adds energy to me. It gives me energy. That's it. And usually the way that I structure things is that I try to, as much as possible, cut out things that take energy. I've done this my entire life. Unless it's absolutely critical and it's something that's costing me energy, I cut it out. And I am constantly adding things that give me energy. These videos, for example. Now, you may think that they take energy, and some of them might sometimes, but for the most part, it's actually something that feels it gives energy. Just having this little talk to you guys right now, it gives me energy. It makes me motivated to go to the gym and do a really good job, and then I go and do a really good workout, which adds even more energy. And then I work until lunch. That takes energy. So I go to the gym, and then I eat after the gym, which adds even more energy so I can make it through the rest of the day. And that's the way that I structure things, just at the conceptual level. And the reason why it's important to ask the question, are you a nighttime person or a morning person, is because you start thinking about, as I said, in terms of energy. I am a morning person, which means that I try to build up or have as many of my energy draining tasks as early as possible in the day. I know that when I go to work, I try to do all the heavy lifting in the morning, because as the day progresses, my energy levels drop. I get more and more tired. And so I try to position things so that all the low energy stuff is in the evening. Things that don't require me to be at my peak, to not have like super large amounts of energy. Usually in the evenings I do a lot, like basically I upload some videos, I do I study languages, all kinds of things that I enjoy but don't require me to be super performant. That's number one. Number two is that I structure everything in terms of projects. So I have a lot of different projects. I think that at right now I have about 17 different projects. A lot of them are different videos that I'm going to shoot this weekend and so forth. And a lot of them are also some open source projects, my own startup, things of that nature. And the way that what I mean when I say that I structure things in terms of a project is that I ask the fundamental question, okay, everything that I want to do, each task, what type of project is this? Is this a long-term project, a mid-sized project, or a short-term project? Because when you understand, as I said, if you know how much energy things are going to take and you have a rough understanding of what you want to achieve, you can start thinking in terms of how you need to structure the thing that you want to do. So a short-term project for me is, let's say that let's just take my videos for example. I have a lot of different videos. A short-term project for me is, in the context of my videos, is one of these videos. It's something that requires between 5 and 10 minutes of my time to do. Same thing goes for very simple tutorial videos where I mostly do CSS work, which takes maybe half an hour, something like that. I can do that in one sitting, no problems. But then we have these small, slightly larger projects, mid-level projects to long-term projects. And the way that I do things is that I have, right now, as I said, I think in the works, between 6 and 10 different tutorial videos, coding tutorial videos, pending. Some of them are completed, and some of them are halfway done. And that's the important part here. These are mid-level projects. These are things that I treat these tasks. Guys, I hear all your requests, and I set up coding projects where I basically just sit down and create a folder with the code that I need in order to illustrate or teach or whatever, and then I work on them until I feel that my energy levels are dropping and the quality of my work goes down, and then I put a mental bookmark, or I basically do what I do when I do coding. This is a very good practice. If you do test-driven development, this is a good tip. Usually what I do when I write code is that when I need a break, or I need to go home, or like it's the end of the workday, in order to create a mental bookmark, I create a single failing unit test at the place I am, basically, because I know by the time that I come back I will have forgotten what I was working on. But if there's a failing unit test in my code, that serves as a reminder. It knows that basically is my bookmark. I know, okay, that's where I was, let's continue on that. And the same thing goes for my videos. Some of the videos take a long time to make. I'm working on one video that there's one video that, because of time restrictions and so forth, has been pending for a few weeks now. It's pretty much done very soon, but I only invest as much time as I have, and when it's done, and then I release it. And that's number two. I try to structure things, as I said, in terms of project, long-term and short-term projects. And finally, and this is the one that is probably the thing that has helped me the most when it comes to time management, and that is that I try to have, or rather be quick on your feet. What do I mean by that? Well, you see, the thing is, when it comes to whatever you do, it doesn't matter if it's schoolwork, job, whatever. The more you can perform, the better that you are at whatever it is you're doing, the more efficient you can be. Which ergo means that the less amount of work or energy investment you have to make. So for me, having the ability to how do I put it, to be good at improvising, to be good to just throw up a conversation, to share some concept, to do these sort of things makes it very easy for me to do certain tasks. Like take these videos, for example. I do absolutely no prep work for these face-to-faces that we have, just you and me. I basically have ideas throughout the week. I write them down as a single headline in my phone, and then I pull up my phone and I start talking to you. That's something I can. Some people would not be able to do that because it would be tricky for them. But I have had some time to prepare to be able to do that sort of thing, and that's what kind of this last step in all of this. It's the same thing with coding and doing tutorials. If you're really good at what you do, I'm not saying that I'm good at coding, I'm more saying that if the thing that you're trying to do, if you are skilled in that thing, it will take you less time to do it. So to continuously improve and to analyze your own performance and to really start looking at the patterns in terms of, okay, what am I doing good? What am I doing not so, what I'm not doing so well, and try to continuously reevaluate yourself. Self-reflection, if you will, so that you can continuously improve your process. Because as I said, the faster you can make something happen, or at least the less energy that you have to invest in order to reach a certain performance, the more time and energy you have to spend elsewhere. Because I think that the red thread here is that when you realize that you only have so much time in one day, that's just half of the puzzle. Because you also have, if you think about it in terms of energy instead, it becomes so much easier for you. Because when you realize that the time you have, like if you have low energy and you have a high energy requiring task, you're either going to underperform or you're going to have to take more time in order to achieve that goal. So if you start understanding your own energy levels and think of it from that perspective, you will actually find, at least that's what I find, you will actually find that you have more time than you can imagine. And finding ways of adding or removing the required finding ways of adding energy or removing the amount of energy you have to spend is at least the way that I found to be the most efficient way. And that's probably the best tip I can give you. It's been working out very well for me, and I hope it's helpful to you too. Have a great day.